Welcome to Connect Vegas, a podcast that interviews the leaders and creators who build our community. The people who make Las Vegas into the best place to live, work, and visit. And now, here is our host, Ben.
Hi, I'm Ben Laevsky, and welcome to the Connect Vegas podcast. Here to introduce a conversation with my friend James Richey of joulefit. joulefit is an AI fitness startup, health and fitness. He's created a circuit of 5 machines that with his technology, you can work out twice a week and get the best workout that your body can handle. It's safe, it's innovative, it uses machine learning, it matches your force so that if you fail and you stop pushing, it stops pushing back instantly. It's absolutely remarkable. He is an innovator. He's using all the latest technologies to solve the oldest problems. And it is my pleasure and treat to share this conversation with you. I hope you enjoy it.
Hi, my name is James Richey. I'm the founder of joulefit. We're a technology company using robotics and AI to disrupt everything we thought we knew about fitness. When we opened our first location, imagine walking into a studio in a spa-like environment. Facial recognition will determine who you are. Your program will load automatically on the first of 5 robotic pieces of equipment. The machines are custom to you. They automatically adjust to the length of your limbs. You start your first program, and 12 and a half minutes later, you walk out with the best workout of your life. The 5 machines you would recognize because we have low row, we have chest press, pull down, shoulder press, and leg press. The difference is there's no weights. So there's a robotic actuator that matches your force in real time over the range of motion. So it doesn't matter if you give me 10 pounds or you give me 1,000 pounds, I'm matching you exactly in real time. And what that does for you is essentially I can take your body to failure in a 90-second set on each piece of equipment. So 1 set is better than 10 sets in a traditional gym. We're collecting all of the data. So because most people, we should be spending 2 to 8 hours a week in the gym. With our system, 2 15-minute sessions a week is all the body can physically handle because I'm tracking the data. If you're not recovered and getting a better score each time you come in, we know you're overtraining. So for most people, it's going to be 2 15-minute sessions each week, and you won't even sweat during those 15 minutes. We're trying to give you an exact stimulus, maximize the stimulus to get your body to say what's going on and recover and make you stronger. So there's a lot of efficiency that's wasted in a gym because you're trying to do multiple sets with the recovery in between. Behind me, you can see some of the monitors. There's a 65-inch Gamified monitor. So you're competing with your best workout every time you come into the gym. So even if you come in today and you kind of, cash it in a little bit and go easy, the next time you come in, I'm having you compete against your best workout. So we're always pushing you to improve. I grew up mostly in Indiana. I'm a Midwestern boy, I guess you could say. My dad, we traveled quite a bit. Before the 5th grade, I attended 7 different grade schools. My dad was a specialty welder, mostly on nuclear power plants. So I did a bunch of traveling, but I ended up in Indiana when I was about in the 5th grade, and I graduated high school from there. Growing up, I was a nerd, I guess you could say. My parents did not allow us to have a TV in the house because they didn't want that input. And if you can imagine, that input back then was 3 channels and they didn't want us getting addicted to that. So as children, we played outside every day. Sports was huge in our life. And then we read every book in the local library. So that basis kind of carried me forward for the rest of my life. I have 8 brothers and sisters, so there was a lot of competition in my house. Every day we played kickball, we played soccer, we did that every single day during the summer. And then obviously high school sports. I did track, I did football, I was a kicker, and I played basketball. I got into college and I was a walk-on kicker. In college, we had a trainer that taught us how to run. And in a period of about 6 months, I went from having a 5-second 40 to about a 4.66. And I also had gained 60 pounds due to being in a weight room and eating on a training table. So what he taught us that really triggered my interest in human performance and what the human body is capable of. So I ended up becoming a mechanical engineer because my high school counselor said, hey, you do very well in math and science and you should be a mechanical engineer. That's what I became, just based on a single conversation. But all along I was interested in sports performance. So the first 25 years of my life, I did robotic engineering. I built assembly lines, I set up manufacturing, wastewater treatment. I've done almost everything in the manufacturing space. But the entire time I was spending 2 hours a night in the gym. I was addicted to the gym, if you can understand that. And by the time I got to when I hit 40, I started getting injured because had been overtraining myself my entire life. And that's when I found a book called Body by Science by Dr. Doug McGuff. And it was a short, abbreviated workout, and you allowed your body to recover. So that's when I started, transitioning into, wow, this workout's amazing. At one time I lost count of how many copies of that book I purchased, but at one time it was 27, because I bought that book for everyone in my family, and everyone who would listen to me got a copy of that book. This is a really long story, but when I was 18 years old, I told my mother that if I could make a living in sports performance and athletics, that would be my career. But at the time, I didn't believe that was possible. I didn't believe I could make it to the NFL or make it, to the NBA in basketball. So I went into engineering. And then at some point, a very good friend of mine from college called me up and he said, the specialty gym market is growing at 23% year over year. We're going to go into the gym industry. And at that point, I was like, I have the workout. So even though he's the one who triggered it, I had this workout. And as I had gone through engineering, if you look at the machines behind me, you see these actuators. These are robotic actuators that I used to use in assembly line and production. And for many years, I would look at these actuators and I could control the force exactly. And the thought was always, why isn't that being applied to the human body? So I think all of that came together in that one moment when my good friend wanted to go into the specialty gym business. I love fitness and human performance. When I'm working on JoulFit, it's not work at all, and I don't think it'll ever be. I'm really a geek when it comes to research, anything to do with the human body, sports performance, all of the studies. We're trying to process all of that, so that's not work for me. Currently we've built the technology and we've been testing the technology. We've had more than probably 400, and I think it's at 28 right now, go through the system. We're also testing about between 22 and 30 people a week and gathering data. So we have one circuit. We're set up in Blackfire. We're not charging. It's free right now to the people that are doing the testing. Currently looking to move into a location and go to revenue with what we have. And we're raising right now to open the first 2 flagship locations in Las Vegas. So we're going into higher end strip malls. We take 2 units, 2,000 to 3,000 square feet, and we put 3 circuits in each of those locations. This location will be unlike any other gym experience you've ever been in. It's going to have video walls, the temperature's controlled, the music's controlled, the lighting's controlled, because I've only got you for 15 minutes. And we're going after the Starbucks model, if you will. If I'm working you out for 15 minutes, you're not going to drive 45 minutes across the valley to do that. So our goal is to be within 7.8 miles of every house in the valley. So we believe at some point we'll have between 12 and 16 locations in the valley, and that may scale as we start to grow, as the valley continues to grow. When we open up a standard location, I have a seat that opens in the circuit every 45 seconds. So you can imagine in a 15-hour day how many people you could actually process through the system. So we're essentially a data company. Right now, every time you work out, I take 50,000 pieces of data. We're taking 10,000 pieces on each set that you do. You're basically your force curve. And we have body fat. We've got a 3D body scanner. We're taking 24 physical measurements. And then the next step is we're going to be adding nutrition. We're going to be adding biometric data from like a Whoop, resting heart rate, HRV, sleep. We're going to start stacking all that data on top of the workout data. And then long term, we're going to add food. We're going to add an app to where every decision you make in your life, we're going to use AI to tell you whether or not that's a good decision based on your biometric data. So we want to see, in general, I want to see your resting heart rate trending down. I want to see your VO2 max trending up. I want to see your HRV, heart rate variability, going up. I want to see your REM sleep, your deep sleep increasing. So using AI and all of those parameters, you'll start finding what the formula is for you personally. And the workout is going to become, the machines are going to learn you over your lifetime. And it's going to constantly adjust the workout to keep you from plateauing. So the big picture is wellness. We're going after, everything that you'll give us to affect your health. We're trying to, people who, in general, the people who are successful working out, they either have a lot of knowledge because they were maybe an athlete at one time, or they have a professional trainer. So what we want to do is create a system to where you have to know nothing to work out in our gym. It doesn't matter if you've never been in the gym. When you walk into like LVAC, it can be intimidating when you see all of these muscular, beautiful people and you don't know what to do. So in our gym, we got 5 pieces of equipment and it's push or pull. The machine is custom to you, the force is custom to you. All you got to do is push or pull and push it as hard as you want to push. So we tried to simplify it, get rid of the intimidation, and give you the best workout of your life. Yeah, initially we're targeting people who don't have time. 15 minutes twice a week, everyone can make that time. So that's our initial target, but we also have the ability with seniors. I grew up believing that at a certain age you couldn't grow muscle mass anymore. You couldn't grow, increase your strength. That is absolutely false. It's been proving in studies, but we're finding people 80s and 90s that are able to double and triple their strength and do it safely. The big issue, the biggest reason why we stop working out as we age is beyond 60, it's injury. Injury is the number one reason. Because we're so safe and I match your force in real time, I've got your body in a position where your joints are protected, and if you fail, the machine doesn't move. So we've eliminated all those injury points that you would normally have in a gym, and we've made it very simple. So you don't have to be an expert, you don't have to have any qualifications to know what to do in the workout. Now for the professional athlete, I do believe that's going to be a sub-brand, and I know the doctors believe that too. Because we have an unlimited safe negative, a negative is the eccentric part of a workout. So if you're doing a bench press, it's when that bar is coming back at you. The body is at least 40 to 50% stronger when that bar is coming back at you. With our machine, we have an unlimited safe negative. So the very first time you work out, I will work some of your fast twitch fibers that you've never worked out before. Now the question is, if you're working more of your fast twitch fibers than you've ever worked out before, what's the translation of that into sports performance? That's where the testing has to come in. I've got a gentleman, for instance, I always tell this story because it's amazing. He has a free bench of 650. That means he can walk over to an Olympic bar on a bench without a lifting shirt, unrack it, do a 650 pound. He has hit 823 pounds on the negative as that bar is coming back at him. Only for a second. Those are fibers he probably has never touched in his life in the gym. Now, if you're firing those fibers on my piece of equipment, neurologically, your brain has to fire those. So he's activating more of his fibers than he ever has before. The question is going to be, how does that translate into athletics? Initially, most people don't believe that you could have a really strong workout in 15 minutes. But because we match your force exactly, this workout is as tough as you make it. No matter what you give it, it's going to match you exactly. So if you push it to the wall, it's going to push back to the wall. So the intensity can be as high as you want it to be. That's the biggest issue. And then the brevity and the efficiency of it. If I get you on the machines for 2 weeks, you understand immediately what we're talking about. Some people believe that we've had a few say, I could do this every day. And absolutely, let's try it. But because we're measuring the data, if you're not consistently getting stronger, you're overtraining, you're giving your body too much stimulus. Now, a really interesting thing is that if you had a drink the night before, it shows you can never get your personal best with a drink the night before. So we're also starting to influence some people because they're game planning for this personal best in a workout. It's like if you were a track and field athlete and you were trying to go for a world record on Saturday, you would not be drinking Friday night because you can't hit that peak. It's the same thing here. So there's a lot of good influence that happens because you better get a good night's sleep before you do this. You better not have alcohol. There's all these factors that play into it. It doesn't mean you can't come in and get a great workout, because I'm still going to pull that glycogen out of your muscle. We're going to get you to failure. But if you want a personal best, you've got to plan for that. And that's a great benefit for health. We have a real-time graph where you're competing against your best workout every time you come in here. And we did a test, it's been about 6 months ago, where we turned that graph off. And the human body is not good at perceiving effort. No one got within 10% of their best workout when I turned that graph off. So visually, seeing where your best strength is and trying to push to that, there's a big neurological component there. The big point is, what I'm trying to do is, my goal is to build out 10,000 of these studios in the next 10 years. And our goal is to have the largest exercise study going on in the history of the world. Not that it has to be the biggest, but if we've got at some point 20 million people, we're collecting all of this data, we've got all this health data, we will be able to determine so much about the human body based on exercise, nutrition, gene testing, blood markers. So the goal is can we take 20 million people and move them into wellness, to where they have a great lifespan, to where they're healthy, to where they feel good about themselves and maintain their strength their entire life. Muscle mass is so important. All of the adult onset diseases, we're talking about your mental diseases, we're talking about diabetes, all of that is greatly influenced by the amount of muscle you can maintain in your later years. So our goal is to shift that narrative to where, we had a 90-year-old female that basically doubled her strength at 90 years old. And that, I would have told you that wasn't possible about 10 or 15 years ago. But now we realize, and everyone else this is not just me, it's in, all the studies, that you can gain strength pretty much at any point in your life. I recommend a book to everyone. Second bestseller other than the Bible. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. That book changed my life many, many years ago. I'm an introvert, an extreme introvert, and public speaking was I almost didn't graduate college because I couldn't speak in front of a group. So that book and a great teacher in my senior year of college really helped me to overcome that fear. And I recommend that book to everyone. It's all about, everything we do in networking. It's all about the relationship. And that book tells you take interest in other people, and you'll have more friends and you know what to do with. It definitely isn't natural for me. I wouldn't be doing this networking if it wasn't for my love of JoulFit and pushing this forward. But if you ask me what's the most valuable thing out of this, founding this business and all the stuff that I do, it's the relationships. I've got so many great relationships with people who have goals. So that part of it, that's what this is all about, is all of those relationships. I moved out from the Midwest to start this company because at the time Tony Hsieh was doing a bunch of investments, the late Tony Hsieh, and that's why we came out here. And also the weather. The weather is phenomenal. This is a great place to live. If you gamble too much, it's probably not, but there's so much outdoor activity. We've got the lake, we've got the hiking, and you pretty much can do anything all year round. You have a few months in the summer where it's hot, but you get up earlier. The growth has been amazing. All of the stuff that I see that UNLV is involved in, it's growing drastically. So, they're trying to make this the sports capital of the world. There's a big biotech community coming here. Obviously, we know the 3 studios that are coming here. So there's so much, this is the place to be if you're in technology and taking advantage of growth that's happening. There's a bunch of great people here at UNLV with big visions, and I'll single out Bo Bernard, but he comes down, he brings people down to visit us at JoulFit and show the technology, and he's the best one I've met as far as describing what I do, and he really hasn't spent that much time with the equipment. So a bunch of great people at UNLV. I'm mostly in the startup community and the tech community. So I'll single out Fusion 42, fusion-42.com. That's the group that Kurt Walker, they do teaching for founders. They have many events. Then obviously Tech Alley. That's a great event that happens once a month in the Arts District with Josh Levitt. Then we've got Startup Vegas, with Heather and with Peter. And then I have to single you out with Tech.Vegas. The short side of Vegas is that you can't figure out when all the events are. There's so many events. And now it seems that you've taken that role of bringing all these events together on a single calendar. So I thank you for that. My Monday morning routine is I get on your site to see what's happening that week, because I could be in an event every night. So I've got to pick, okay, this one's probably more valuable networking than this one. And my founders that I know will be at this one. So, I make decisions on Monday based on your website. So thank you. If I had a choice, I would never eat out. And I can't say that around my better half, but to single out sushi, I love all the sushi places in Vegas. And then my go-to when I'm near the Strip, there's a little Mexican restaurant called the Taco Stand. If you're going to get a burrito or a fish taco, that's my go-to when I'm down there. I like the outdoors, so at Red Rock Canyon on the 13-mile loop, I think it's mile 7, where there's a place that looks back toward the city between the mountains, and we watch the sunset go down and the lights come on. That's probably my favorite place. Yeah, we spent many nights out there when the sun goes down to relax at that loop at Red Rock. And most of that was before COVID, and now it's appointment-based, and a lot of things have changed, but it's still a great place to go and relax. And it's so quiet that you can only hear the wind, and sometimes the quiet is almost deafening when you're up there. The most interesting thing, and I've heard this within the last 6 months, I read, I'm not at a book a week right now, but I'm close. I heard someone say on a podcast that every book that you read, and obviously the ones that I'm reading are mostly nonfiction, is about 5 to 15 years experience from that author. So if you want to accelerate your experience in life, every time you read a book, you gain 5 to 15 years of experience. So if you're reading 100 books a year, you could be gaining up to 1,500 to 2,000 years of experience. So I thought that was a really neat way to look at reading books. joulefit.ai. You can go there and enter your information, and we'll have that in our database. We are doing some testing within the community right now in Blackfire. It's not open to the public, but if you want to reach out to me through joulefit.ai and become a part of that testing of the workouts, I'd be happy to have you. For the most part, it's been people within the tech community and people within the sports community, but I'm pretty open. They just don't allow, I can't have 100 people a day coming through here, so I am controlling that just a little bit. But the people who ask are the people who get a workout.
Welcome to Connect Vegas, a podcast that interviews the leaders and creators who build our community. The people who make Las Vegas into the best place to live, work, and visit. And now, here is our host, Ben.